Yesterday on CNN, former White House Communications Director Jen Psaki said that President Trump's Cheatin' Obama nickname was not just weird, it was racist.
Given Trump's history, you can also guess that there might be racial undertones there. He was the founder of the birther movement. Perhaps I'm going to a very evil place with that, but I think history tells us that's a possibility.
I don't know, evil, just like weird and confusing. Okay, maybe it's racist. How? Never explained. Meanwhile, over at CNN, commentator Tara Setmayer said it's okay to call black Republicans racial slurs. Watch.
It takes somebody with very thick skin to go out there and be black and say, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, because what's going to happen is they're going to come on your network.
I've lived it for 25 years.
What's going to happen is that if they're going to come on your network and they're going to be called everything but a child of God, they're going to be called an Uncle Tom, and everything like that.
What are you
and so
talking
first
about?
things first, are you going to sit there and act like that's not true? I
Well,
guess,
if you act like it and someone calls you out on it, then we can't do anything about that. Maybe the messenger.
so it's okay to actually call someone a particular name as long as you feel like they're acting like that. Is that what you're saying?
Poor Don Lemon. Nice guy. Show's really unbelievable. Christopher Harris was on it the other night. He's the man you saw sitting there. He's executive director of Unhyphenated America, and he joins us tonight. So I watched that clip, and first I felt so bad for you, but I also thought it was kind of an amazing moment where you basically had someone defending the use of racial slurs because they're politically expedient.
Well, what happened, Tucker, was that the left showed who they really are. I mean, of course, Tara calls herself a conservative and a Republican, but yeah, I mean, well, we'll let her say what she wants to say, but at the end of the day, what the left does is they try to put everybody in a box.
Yeah.
And we would, with Unhyphenated America, what we believe is that America's best when it's unhyphenated. That if you believe in, if you embrace, if you understand that and embrace the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then you're an American, and there's no need for any prefix or suffix. You're just an American. And so trying to put everybody into a particular box, saying that you must think a particular way because of your paint job, as one of my buddies says, the melanin content in your skin, is one of the problems that the left has. And what they're doing is they're focusing on identity politics, and they try to say, well, Donald Trump obviously must be a racist because, well, look at the lack of diversity, without kind of doing some critical analysis and saying, well, how many black people actually applied for a White House internship? And even then, when you look at what happened with Ms. Setmayer, is that she just vilified any black person who doesn't toe the line.
Well, exactly. So what happens, I mean, and one of the reasons for the hysteria, I think, is Trump actually got a higher percentage of the black vote than the Republican who ran before him, Mitt Romney. Not a ton, but more, so that freaked him out. But what happens to the country long term if you encourage everyone in it, of all colors, to think of themselves first as members of a racial or ethnic group? Like, what happens over time?
Balkanization.
Yeah.
You know, the term, a lot of people are not familiar with it, but the Balkan region, what you have is a lot of different tribes, different groups of people who are all constantly warring against each other. And one of the things that, I mean, we are the United States of America. I mean, granted, you have people, you're maybe a Virginian or you're a South Carolinian or a Texan or whatever like that. And so you might have a certain amount of pride for being from the state that you're from. But at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We have something unifying in our culture. It's, once again, it's those beliefs in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's one of those things that they keep trying to push these identity politics to say that you must think a particular way because of the color of your skin. But more importantly, they want you to believe that they want me to believe that because of the color of my skin, that I'm inherently a victim, that I will always be a victim, and that I should vote a particular way for the people who, I guess, they want to protect me. But you know, we can look at the black community overall, and here's the reality. What has gotten better in the past 50 years, as long as blacks have been voting 70+% for the Democratic Party? No one can say that things have gotten better from economic standpoint. The schools haven't gotten better. Economically, we're not doing better. Family-wise, we're not doing better. But yet, these are the points that they keep wanting to push with these identity politic issues, and it's just really maddening.
Do you think, quickly, that maybe the identity politics is designed to distract people from thinking about their actual circumstances, from asking the questions you just raised, which is like, is my life better? Am I making more? Is my family better off? If they can wave the red flag of race in front of you, maybe you won't think about those things.
Well, you know, Don, the reality is, I mean, I attend McLean Bible Church, which is a huge church. It's an ethnically diverse church. I mean, I always say that the culture picture is Christian, but it's an ethnically diverse church. We have over 100 different cultures, ethnicities represented at our church. And when you have people interacting one-on-one, there's no real issues of racism.
Exactly. And church is the best possible example of that. Thank you very much. That was great.
Thank you for having me.
There's a picture of, get your reaction, the White House released this photo, Spring 2018 White House interns, 91 students. What do you think, Simone?
You know what? I think we have heard a lot from this administration, from the president on down, his cabinet secretaries, about what their idea of diversity and inclusion is. And when I see this photo, it makes me sad because I know that there are people out there that would like to believe that if we just take race out of it and any of other considerations out of it, the best people will rise to the top. But history has shown us that often for some people, the best people mean the whitest people. And so we have to have diversity and inclusion measures in place because we're not getting it right on our own.
Tara, what's your reaction?
It represents who voted for Trump. I mean, that's about the breakdown of what the vote was. I'm not surprised at this. I'm surprised they got that many people to come work for him, to be honest. I mean, to intern for him, to be honest with you. It is sad. I agree with Simone that it's a shame that, especially for me as a Republican, and the emphasis that the Republican Party over the years has put on diversity and expanding the tent, and the autopsy report after 2012 was emphasizing the importance of having to reach out to these non-traditional Republican constituencies, and that is just completely gone, torn up, and reversed, if anything, in the Trump era. And so I think it's a shame, but I'm not surprised. It's reflective of what we have today with Donald Trump.
You disagree. Why is that, Christopher?
Well, I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I'm glad that CNN is actually providing a forum for us to say, hey, you know what? Let's have more blacks join the Republican Party. Because apparently that's what you're saying, is that we need more blacks who are Republicans. I mean, I see you blinking, you're shocked. But that's essentially what you're saying, because, I mean, you want more diversity. Great. Instead of having, 90-something% of blacks being registered, over 70% of blacks being registered as Democrats and over 90% voting for Democrats, maybe we should have somewhere around half, right? Let's do 50-50. Let's not be so one-sided. So thanks for having this conversation.
Do White House interns have to be of the party that's in power?
No.
No, they don't necessarily have to, but
Not
here's the question.
necessarily, but usually they are, though.
Okay.
But here's a couple of things here. One, it's an issue of awareness, it's an issue of eligibility, and it's also an issue of interest. I mean, first of all, how many people even know that these internships exist? And
a lot. Wait, hold on. That's ridiculous.
And I'm talking about
almost
people of color.
anyone that's in college knows. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
People know how many people want to be interns out there. Oh my gosh! Come on, you don't.
No, that is a sorry excuse. I'm sorry.
No, well, guess what? I've been a Republican intern. I interned for Congressman Joel Heffley back in 2003. I wasn't aware of an internship was available until my mentor suggested it to me. And
okay, so let me ask you that. Great, I'm glad. So when you were a Republican intern, were there other Republican interns of color?
There was a few other ones. Yeah.
Were there more than in that picture?
Well, we're talking about Congress, so we're not talking about the White House. So there's 435 members.
But were there more than percentage-wise than in that building?
I couldn't say for certain percent-wise, but I can say that I knew of more than a handful of black conservatives who were Republicans and who were interns at that point.
Different environment, though. Different environment. That was under the Bush administration, which was a lot more welcoming for minorities, and had actually a real outreach program. And there was a sense of that someone cared. I mean, Donald Trump is so off-putting to so many people, and George Bush never said remotely close to the offensive things at all. He had too much class for that, first of all, but they weren't bigots. So there wasn't that big of that level of difficulty. It was other reasons for the history of the Republican Party and why it was more of an effort to bring minorities in.
Do you think
but it wasn't that it was unwelcoming the way Trump is.
So Simone, what he's saying is that there should be more African Americans in the Republican Party, and I think people would say, yeah, if they were a welcoming party. But doesn't that sort of prove the point that this administration, in Christopher's argument, if they're not welcoming to African Americans and they don't want to join the administration, why would they do it?
So I want to be really clear that there are I would like to be really clear and note that there are African-American conservatives out there in America who
That's right.
who would actually be willing to go in there and work in this White House. Jerron is someone that works in the White House right now, who is working on urban policy issues, who has the ear of folks in the administration. So to assert that there are no black people that are conservatives in America that will go work in this White House or in this administration is just not true.
So who made that
note
assertion?
that this White House is in fact not to note that this White House is in fact not welcoming to people of color and does not provide an environment, if you will, that would make folks feel as though this is a place that wants them there is absolutely true. But let's not assert that ain't no black conservatives out there in America.
There's a couple that are
definitely not.
in America, of course.
Let
but
Christopher
yes, I know
respond.
Jerron too, and he's doing a good job. But it's tough. It's a tough environment. He's
Let
trying to do
Christopher
for the good of the policy in the country.
There's a load of black conservatives. It's always interesting is that when
But we're talking about interns, y'all. Let's not get too far away from far afield for what we're doing. We're talking about
here's the thing.
interns. And if you look at that picture, that picture is not representative